Man, it's been 5 fucking years almost, man. And these motherfuckers, I mean, they get me to the point where I'm crying because they pretend to speak like me and something else in the distance acts like it's talking, like it's reacting to them. Or if I'm thinking or I say something, I could hear something react back, but someone else is talking to them and they're pretending to be me. And while I'm sitting here crying or yelling, they pretend to be me and they say that I'm someone named Danny crying because I don't want to be in hell, because they left me in hell or some shit. And the asshole who's, I guess Danny, is pretending to be Sammy, and every time I'm thinking or anything, he articulates my thoughts and creates conversations. Even while I'm crying, they tell me to think of one of my ex-girlfriends, to think of whoever, and then they end up talking to them, I suppose. Or I was sitting here crying my fucking guts out, and I have my hands open like this. I have my hands like this. I have both of my hands open while I'm crying. And these pieces of shit, this is how I know that what's seen from my vision doesn't match what comes out of my mouth. Because I was sitting there crying, and while I had my hands like that, a fake piece of coward ass shit, a queef fucking bitch, I could hear in the distance, he pretends to be me, or he pretends to be whoever the fuck, but he's coordinating off of my movements. Like, before I close my eyes, something says, now I'm gonna close my eyes. And that shit pisses me off. Or if you can hear me, blink. What the fuck? Or if you could hear, like right when I'm about to reach for something, if you can hear everything that's being said, why don't you grab that or whatever? I'm like, fuck. And right before I say, fuck you, they switch and say, what do you want to say to Amber? What do you want to say to Janine? What do you want to say to whoever? Like, to reroute what the fuck I'm saying. But anyways, while I had my hands down like this and I was bawling, a noise pretending to be me starts saying a prayer. Now, how in the fuck can I say a prayer while I'm bawling and crying and screaming? So, if anyone out there is being targeted or gaslit or gangstalked, and you wonder why this shit over and over and over, I guess for years, and they just don't give a fuck, like they keep doing it the next day, the same bullshit over and over and over, like a fucking broken record, because I guess they see what you see and read your mind, and they probably reroute what you really say, what you really mean to say, through another fuckhead impression. And so while your mouth is moving or whatever, or I don't know, I mean, they probably have, like, I'll be thinking about something, and that's when I'll hear, well, I gotta like close my mouth or something, and I'll catch something saying what I was thinking when I'm just, just oblivious of what's going on. It'll be verbalizing my thoughts, and it'll verbalize them wrong. It'll verbalize them so that it accommodates someone named Danny. But yet, it reverses though. If they say Danny, they probably mean Sammy Velez or something. And there's some other human or impression who isn't Samuel Velez who pasted my fucking name onto them. And maybe it's a Danny, because I keep getting called Danny. And it's either Samuel Velez or a Danny. And so most likely there's a Danny pretending to be Samuel Velez, or a Frank pretending to be Samuel, or whoever. And they like tell me to fucking think. And they'll just say, oh, now he's thinking of this person. Now he's thinking of that. No, not yet. But they'll mention the name, and then I think of them, and it makes the piece of shit pretending to be me look like, I don't know, I guess whoever's name I think of pops up somewhere, and then a piece of shit that pretends to be me is talking to them. I think. I don't know. I can't hear the other voice of, my ex-girlfriend, my daughter, my baby's mama, another ex-girlfriend. These nosy fucks are pretending to be me. I guess they talk to them, or some part of them or something. So anything I mean, literally, and I'll be bawling and crying, and right when I'm about to say, fuck you, they have the balls to say, what do you have to say to Janine? What do you have to say to blah, 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 or, no, I'm not. No, he's not saying that, asshole. He's making a video, you piece of shit. Like right now, I'm making this video and I'm talking about how these noises say, oh, what do you have to say to this person? What do you have to say to that person? And guess what I just heard? I heard a piece of shit. I mean, he acts like a little snitch. I hope he's not pretending to be me. He's all, now they're telling me to say that I'm thinking of this person. I mean, he acts like he's like, now they're telling me. So I don't understand what the fuck that shit's all about. But if I ain't heard shit throughout my life, and something's trying to make it seem like I hear something when I don't, and they're playing this fucking shit, like the music talking about, you need a man that's the other guy's a cheap copy of himself. He's too passive. No, it's not that I'm too passive. It's just that when I'm minding my own business and I don't hear anything, but sometimes I do, sometimes, no wonder they say, he's too passive. Man, there's times I'm just doing something, or I'll hear something mentioned where they clown me or something, or they're clowning someone or something, and I'm just like, I'll kind of hear it, but then I'm like, fuck, I just ignore it. And then another noise says, see why he's quiet? You see why he isn't saying anything? See why he ain't saying anything? That's because of this and that. No, fuck you, assholes. So imagine 80 to 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, I'm just about my business or doing whatever. There must be a bunch of shit going on based on my thoughts. Someone's articulating my thoughts. Whatever I'm doing throughout the day, probably having a conversation with something and shrouding me in oblivion or something somehow. And